Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Payment Genes podcast series, Voices in Payments. Today, we are joined by Stefan Berndt, the head of HR from TIS, Treasury Intelligence Solutions. TIS is a global leader in managing corporate payments and named by the Financial Times as Europe's fastest growing companies in 2019. They're offering SaaS solutions, and today we will talk with Stefan about the HR policies that goes on within a big tech company like TIS. Stefan, a very warm welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me for this podcast series.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. Of course, it's very close to home, talking HR and payments, so we're super excited to get started. Yes. Hey, Stefan, normally I start off, we're speaking to payment experts, so I start off saying I've never, and up to this day that still holds true, met anyone who woke up one day and said, I want to be a payment expert. Of course, you're working in payments, but on the HR side, how did you stumble into payments?
I mean, in my previous career, I started an apprenticeship as a bank clerk. And I mean, in a bank, it's also about payments. These are the first, I would say, touch points with payments from my end. But I mean, joining TIS 3 years ago, it was not
to
about
this day,
joining
3 years anniversary today.
Yeah, today, yeah.
Did you get a present?
So it was no, just a small comment from my team, which I highly appreciate this morning in our daily call. So it's not about presents; it's about people really thinking about such anniversaries. So from my end, so coming back to your question, Diederik, so I had no experiences with payments upfront, and it was not about joining TIS because it's a payments company, but we are doing payments, so we are not doing treasury. Our company name is maybe a bit misleading here, but that's not a big issue for us. However, it was really about joining a company with a fantastic vision, and starting a journey to really enable an organization like TIS, which is doing payments from a people perspective. And this is why I have been joining this company 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say that I'm an expert in payments. I'm more an expert in people and HR.
Ah, perfect. Well, that's we look forward to talking a bit more about that.
Sure.
Perhaps for people who are not that familiar with everybody, of course, deals with HR, but perhaps are not that familiar with the day-to-day activities. Can you describe what your main responsibilities are on a daily basis?
So my main responsibilities are, in a nutshell, to enable our organization from a people's perspective. So we have at the very beginning created a vision or a mission statement from an HR point of view that we would like to find, grow, and keep our people at its best. So that means that we as a team HR deliver services around that 3 pillars. Yep. That we would like to create a working environment where our people can really deliver their best out of them. And usually we are looking for people who would like to join a kind of a story or a kind of journey in our company. And this is my main responsibility, to find the right people at the right time in the right place. So, and I think this is it's not visionary, because I think every company is doing that. However, on the other hand side, we see that we can really convince the best people in the market with regards to our vision, with regards to our strategy. And this is about us within human resources department, but it's not only us, it's a collaboration between us and the line managers. And we together as a team, we can convince. We win together or we lose together. And this is all about, you have to know, I mean, it sounds really from a high level perspective, and on a day-to-day basis, you have also tons of conversations with the people. You have tons of little tasks you have to fulfill. However, the main activity or my main responsibility is to enable this organization from a people's perspective.
Yeah, and there are a few things that you mentioned. Indeed, it's collaboration with teams. It's finding people that fit really the spirit of the company. Uh, then to
Yeah.
jump to current times, in the last few months, there's been a lot of interesting changes in the way that we work. COVID-19, of course, being forced to
Yes.
work from home. I can imagine these
Yeah.
as well offers quite interesting challenges. What are some of the main challenges you've seen, and how can you overcome those?
Yeah, I like that you name it as a challenge and not as a problem, because it was because it was not a problem for us. I mean, TIS is a small company with 166 people right now, all over the world. So we have offices in Bulgaria, Germany, the Netherlands, and also in the US. And our people are quite familiar with working from home and with working in a remote environment. The new thing for us was to work from home such a long period and not knowing what is going on. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this general anxiety about COVID-19 and what it is all about, but we haven't pointed out as a problem for us, because we are really in touch with our people and communicate usually quite well. And not for everyone by 100%. So we are not perfect, and I wouldn't say that we have to be perfect in that, but we include our people in our strategies to do so. And I think this involvement is highly appreciated by our people. And this leads that we do not have so many problems, so many challenges to work together from home in a remote environment. So we have a fantastic business model in place. So that means that we were not so highly impacted by the economic damage in
Yeah.
general in Europe. So this is one point, but the other point is really that we have people on board and people joining also during the COVID-19 phase who are really passionate and have a good growth mindset and do not see everything in a bad manner. So
Yeah.
for sure, it's
Forward
always like
thinking.
you. Yeah, correct. So it's always like seeing things differently and looking for a solution. So, and this is the kind of mindset we are looking for. So, and this makes this crisis in general. I wouldn't say that it was easy to handle, but we were a bit ahead our time. So back in March, so I think it was 3rd or 4th of March, where we communicate at the very beginning, hey, it's COVID-19. We care for you people. So this was our first message to the people. We care. And then 2 weeks later, we announced, hey, please, we all work from home now. And it was not anymore a big surprise. So,
Yeah.
and then we were in touch with our people about coffee corner sessions, the managers and the leaders with their teams, especially me with my HR team, which is also cross-located in Bulgaria and Germany, and really being there as a leader, and to follow up on questions they have. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course you mentioned that coffee corner sessions, and those are great ways of staying in touch with people and having them included. And as you mentioned, these as well, having those touch points are critical, especially in times of uncertainty. Normally
Yep.
at the office, that's quite easy, even though you're
Yeah.
dispersed through various offices. Within that confinement, you can easily look each other up. But what else can you do as a practical standpoint in order to include the people more often, get more frequent touch points?
What you can do is you can ask your people because they are smart enough to tell you what is happening, and this is what we have done in the past as well. So it's not like that we have asked our people in a poll or in a survey every single week, but we have communicated from the very beginning. Hey, we are really interested in your opinion and thoughts about how can we manage this crisis together. And you are right; it's not only about an information session where C-level, including HR, is telling, so how do we want to lead through this crisis? No, it's also about getting feedback about a survey and then act on this feedback. so that you have a kind of authentic way of doing the things. And this is what we have done as well. So we have conducted 2 simple pulse checks with our employees. We have a high participation rate of about 75 to 80% of participation, which leads to a good result. Yes, we have discussed these results, analyzed within team human resources, within the management team, and then act on some action items. Like, for example, in the first pulse check, we have the biggest challenge was, hey, it's about social isolation. What can we do? Yeah. So, and then we created some kind of health challenge. Yeah, where people can upload a video of doing a plank, for example. Yeah, and just chit chat with each other, not only about business topics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or on the other hand side, it's about, hey, my working desk, it's not working quite well for me. So, and then we decided, hey, please join our offices and pick up your screen or pick up your mouse and all that stuff for your working from home environment. Also not a problem. So, and now we are just in the phase of analyzing the second pulse check results we have done last week by end of Q2. And we observed a bit a shift because we open our offices partially a bit, especially in Germany, in Krefeld, Waldorf, and Berlin. So, but it seems to be that their return to office is highly appreciated, but not everyone would like to use this opportunity because of COVID-19, for example. Yeah. So, and we have to take it very, very serious. So you see that we always include our people's perspective, and to say it with 2 words is a kind of a people first strategy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one thing as well that we saw here at Payment Genes is we gave the room as well for individuals who have their own passion. So, for instance, we have one colleague who is officially a yoga instructor who gave yoga lessons to the entire team, and everybody who wanted to participate had the option to. And that also was a great motivator to include everybody, and it's a different way of seeing each other as well. And we saw that also worked really well. So, and indeed, those extra touch points are just critical and key. Of course, that I think strongly correlates with the keeping people, with the third pillar that you mentioned of finding, growing, and keeping people. With regards to growth, I can imagine that offering trainings and assisting people throughout their career when they're in the office is quite simple. It needs a very structured approach, but it's perhaps more practical than now. Any changes that you made in those processes, procedures?
With regards to growing the people, it's always, it's also about individual career plans. Yeah. So it's not about having a function and then you can do a PowerPoint presentation or an Excel course and everything is quite well. So it's really about individual career plans. And this is the main responsibility of our line managers. So they are, so to speak, they are growing. I mean, in general, people are growing themselves, but they need a line manager who sees potential and for sure the performance, and then interact on that. What have we done in Bulgaria? Because we have a big R&D organization there. So with regards to remote education, for example, so we have given a kind of lump sum for Coursera, to have online video, online education topics and so on and so forth. And it's working quite well. And we are always doing it like this as a kind of pilot phase. And now we are discussing, could we offer that to our people in Germany and the US and the Netherlands as well? But let's see what the results here will be. But we think always from a global perspective, have global budgets, are doing it global from an HR perspective, and then we are acting locally. Yeah. And this, it turns out that this is one of the best ways. So at least in our company, in the software area, you can do so. The results of our surveys, people are giving us very great feedback in general that we are doing good about this, and it seems to be that this is working out.
Yeah, indeed, it would be interesting to see how that rolls out to the other countries. I can imagine indeed the demand is quite high there as well.
Demand is quite high. Demand is, on the other hand side, completely different. But to be very honest, also with the people listening to this podcast, I mean, in a growing company like TIS, and if you are on a growth journey, the most important topic from an HR perspective is to find the right people.
Yeah.
And it's really to find the right people joining this story, joining this journey. And then usually, if you highly focus on hiring and recruiting, you do not have that focus time on growing and keeping. And this is why I like this challenge, because I, as head of HR, has to balance out these topics. But if I have to give kind of percentage rate, I mean, in a high growth company like TIS, it's about 70%, 75% about hiring the right people, and then find really smart and intelligent ways to grow the people and then to keep the people as well.
Indeed, I think if you find the right people and assist them in their growth plans, that will entice them to stay at the company. So
yes, exactly, you're right. Yeah.
Talking about finding people, and a point that we as payment teams as well are often quite interested in, of course. Can you explain a bit more about the strategy that you had in hiring people pre-corona, and as well perhaps later we can touch upon how that shifted during corona and currently?
Nothing changed, I would say, in a nutshell. So comparing pre-corona and now corona, and maybe after or post-corona times. So for us from the very beginning, it was important to give a statement that we do not have kind of hiring freeze like other companies in the economy. I said it this morning at the very beginning that we have a really great business model which is in place. So we are doing software as a service, and it really fits out that this is a really solid and stable year. So, and I mean, from a hiring perspective, we have a high demand of people. This is why we are working with external recruitment companies as well. And from the very beginning, the communication was quite easy for us to say, hey, we are looking for people. We do not stop our activities. And I mean, now we have really good candidate pipelines. And this is the way we interact with candidates in general as well. So very open, very transparent from the very beginning of the journey until the end. And I mean, we do not have any obligations with regards to Corona. And this, I mean, this is kind of pole position, for us in comparison to other players in the market. I mean, we are in the same market like other small and medium-sized companies, like big corporates. We are also looking, or we are looking like every single other company. We are looking for the best talents. Yeah, that's for sure. I haven't seen an HR expert looking for bad people. Yeah, I mean,
Not
this
yet.
is why we are not yet. Yeah, let's see. So this is why, I mean, it's a tough market with regards to the labor market, but it's not impossible to convince people. And you can convince people if you are passionate about the journey, if you are passionate about the story and the vision of this company, and how you can enable that. And this is why we could convince people also during Corona times, and we are using this advantage right now. But I mean, we are also on the other hand side very, very grateful about this position in the market, because we see that economy will decrease in Europe, and especially in the US as well. But thanks to our founders here to establish 10 years ago such a solid business model.
Yeah. And you mentioned as well that finding the right people is becoming more and more difficult. We see that as well, that throughout the entire payment value chain, from a merchant's perspective, they are building more in-house teams that are focusing on payments. There are new alternative payment methods entering the market on almost a weekly basis. PSPs are expanding their capabilities as well through to acquirers, schemes, issuers. So there's a huge demand for people with payment experience. How do you then categorize? You also mentioned, by the way, that you are working with external recruitment companies. So How do you clarify for yourself which companies or which positions you will fill internally, and for which positions, for instance, you will use an external company? Because, of course, there are additional costs associated with that. So how do you make the balance there?
First of all, we are talking to the line manager and about the objective of this role, and how does it make sense to find someone maybe from an external point of view, or to grow someone internally. This is really the first question we ask. And then I mean, in a company like TIS, growing the engine in general, it's often about, hey, we need some additional competencies from the outside. And then we established the past 3 years a good, I would say, recruitment ecosystem with with headhunters, with consulting services companies, and then we are talking with these companies, really transparent what we are looking for. For sure, we have created a role description about all the tasks and all the education background, but I think it's really about convincing also an external recruitment company about the vision of this company.
Mm-hmm.
And I think then the external company is also, it's a first business card for us. Yeah, it's the first person interacting with candidates, promoting a TIS, and this is what we are looking for, that we have companies helping us fostering our vision. So for sure, I'm doing now kind of shifting in my model to actively looking for people, because we are growing the HR team as well. And I mean, we are cost driven on the one hand side as well. Yeah, and it's from our point of view sometimes more expensive to use external recruiters, but sometimes you have positions you can't find in the market, and you need the network of your ecosystem. And this is why the first thing talking to line managers is, hey, what are you really looking for? Yeah.
Yeah.
What drives you to fulfill this this position, this open vacancy, and how does it fit? What is the contribution to our main vision with this position?
Yeah, exactly. And I think indeed the direct communication with line managers as well, what we see from our perspective with all of our clients, is those that we are most successful with are the ones that we are in close collaboration with both HR and the line manager, so that you can really have a clear vision about not only the hard skills that are required for this position, but as well the soft skills, the cultural fit, the mindset. That is critical, because if that doesn't add up, then it won't work.
Yeah,
In that process as well, do you see a shift from the candidate's perspective, what they are currently expecting from an employer or a possible employer, versus how it was perhaps a year ago?
So we as an HR team, acting globally, we are not seeing that big shift. I would say that big change for sure. During Corona times, where is a lot of uncertainty, people are asking for the financial situation of the company. This is something we are addressing first. Yeah. So this is why people. So this is
Get the
why
hurdles
people
out of the
are not
way.
asking. Yeah. So this is why people are not requesting that information, because, as I said before, we have a solid business model. We can say that we had a funding circle a couple of months ago. So, and this all leads to a good first impression at the candidates, and we are always thinking from a candidate's perspective, and having touch points and having moments that matters. And this is how we act in the interview stages as well.
And in that as well, you've been now active for 10 years. I can imagine that over the 10 years as well, a few people have left TIS. Do you
Yeah, sure.
manage the experiences, or do you measure the experiences of former employees in any way, shape, or form, and perhaps have that influence your HR policy as well?
In general, I would say yes. What we have established at TIS when I joined this company, but I'm pretty sure that we have done that before as well, because it's kind of our company culture to do so. If someone would like to leave this journey, I mean, this is business as usual. Yeah. Also, also in 2020, some people have left this company, and it's not a big issue at all. But it's about respecting each other and asking questions about why do you want to leave TIS? What have we as an organization not doing quite well the past month? So to really get the feedback, what could we do better in future with regards to our organization? And this is why we have implemented exit interviews for this. Are we getting always honest results? It highly depends on the way the people leave the company, but in general, also here we have a people first approach. And I mean, if a colleague left TIS, we have now the case that someone is returning.
Wow.
After someone in our sales department is now returning to TIS,
coming back home.
One of the reasons coming back home a bit and having the same responsibilities like before, but we did understand in the past that he would like to have another opportunity right now, and this really highly depends on your personal on personal topics. And I mean, it's always good to end a journey like you start a journey. Yeah. So also with a smile in your face and not having any bad feelings about this. And this is how we create an environment of trust. And and then we are in touch with these people afterwards. Yeah. So not only during our journey at TIS, but also afterwards. And this, I think, highly reflects also our good candidate experience on platforms like Kununu or Glassdoor. Yeah. So that some people are giving us bad recommendations. That's fair enough if we understand this. Sometimes people are blaming only. This is not that fair approach. However, on the other hand side, I think 80 to 90% are giving us good feedback here as well.
Yeah, and those are great stats indeed.
Yeah.
And now 3 years at TIS, starting from an HR business partner, currently head of HR. What are some of the major changes that you've personally went through, and let's shine through your management style as well yourself?
With one word, roller coaster. But
that's what you get when you're one of the fastest growing companies, huh?
It is. I mean, if you join a company and have done this before, also in a SaaS company, I mean, working in a growth company or growth environment, it's always like a roller coaster. Yeah. So you have good days, you have some bad days, but the trend in general these 3 years is and was very, very positive in general. So, and joining this company 3 years ago with a clear approach on establishing an HR department on my own. So the CEO, Jörg, empowered me to do so. And 1 year later, I started with having a team in Bulgaria and Germany. And now it leads to a team of 6 people, including some working students in Germany. And it feels like I'm at home working with these people. And to be honest, to describe my leadership style, I think this is something we have to request my team. But in general, I'm dealing with topics like servant leadership, for example. So I highly appreciate the topics of Ken Blanchard, for example. And it's about, in general, and this is part of my personality, it's about serving. Yeah. So, and this is what I can observe when I reflect myself on my career on my own. It's about serving, and this leads at the end to success. But usually you have tons of discussions about leadership styles. But I think in a growing company, you can't allow micromanagement. This is not possible. If you start really not controlling, but using every single moment to observe what your people are, what your employees are doing, this is not the way you can grow.
You don't spend the time looking forward.
Yeah. So it's about trusting your people. It's about convincing them to really join this journey and giving some goals. Yeah. So, and not about you have to done it in this or that way, but more, hey, I have observed this. what do you think about doing it the next time in this matter? So I have
Yeah.
good experience with that. And this is maybe an example of my leadership style.
And when you joined 3 years ago, you were setting up the HR department. How many people were in the company at that point?
3 years ago, it was about 70 people, 70 around that. And as of now, we are 170.
Yeah. And then looking back, do you think that that was the optimal timing to start with a really professionalized HR department? Or do you say, in hindsight, perhaps we should have started 2 years before, or we could have started half a year later? What are your thoughts, especially for those companies who are currently experiencing the growth that
Yeah.
TIS was back then, so that as well that they can get a feeling, okay, what's the best timing for me?
Yeah, this is not easy to reply on this without blaming my C-level about this. Yeah. but I wouldn't do that. No, I think it was the right timing. I mean, TIS has HR expertise before, but 6 years ago, TIS has also, in general, a bad time with regards to to the economic, and it was just before closing the company, and they have to start lay off some people, and then they have reactivating themselves a bit. So I think 3 years ago it was the right timing.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you could start a bit earlier? Sure, I think, but this is I think this is not really worth
No,
to
but I can as
discuss
well
this.
imagine that if the company is struggling and you are forced to have layoffs, that it's
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
difficult indeed to once you're the phoenix rising back up from the ashes
yeah,
to find
yeah,
a specific
yeah.
timing. But yeah, indeed.
Yeah, but I think in a nutshell, it was the right timing, especially also for me 3 years ago, and then really from scratch starting and enabling the organization from a people's perspective. Yeah.
But what are some of the things, or perhaps one example that you can give that, with the knowledge of today, you would have done differently, very at the very beginning,
Um,
or something that you say that you should have done more?
um, don't think so. However, thinking about an example, what I could have done maybe better at the very beginning is maybe having that one more conversation, one more thing to add, and to talk to line managers, to talk to C-level, because there is a point in time. I think in in my personal, it was 1 week or 2 weeks after joining this company, I was highly involved in so many operational tasks. Having first business trip to Sofia, being in the company for 2 weeks, having this big company values project on my desk. I think what I could have done better in the past is use the first week to much better understand really the vision of this company, having maybe 1 or 2 talks, 1 or 2 conversations more with the founders of this company to really understand the essence and the ideas of this company. For sure, I have done this in parallel, but I think at the very beginning it's really good to understand and to have personal conversations with the founders
Yeah.
from an HR perspective. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. And this is well something that we tell both our clients and the candidates, that during the interview process, it should really be a two-way stream. It's as much
Yeah.
as finding for the company finding out whether the candidate is the right fit for them, but as well the other way around. And what we see is that every now and then candidates are a bit hesitant to really ask the tough questions that are coming to mind during the process, because they're interested in the company and want to learn more and work there.
Yeah.
But do you have any tips or insights for both hiring managers and candidates? The questions that they should ask or points that they should discuss during the hiring process that will make sure that the chances of having the right cultural fit increase?
I think to make it crisp, I think it's you have to be good prepared from a hiring manager perspective. You need to know what you exactly would like to hire, and it's not about which kind of education has this candidate, which kind of core task has this candidate already done. This is all good from an experience perspective, But I always recommend to our hiring managers to really understand what do I really need from a competence perspective, kind of critical success factors. So what do we really need, and have a look in your team as well and find someone that you can add this competency. On the other hand side, for candidates, I think it's a good situation for candidates in general because they get a lot of offers from recruitment companies, from companies itself. However, here my tip is as well to really understand yourself. What are you really looking for? What drives you really? Yeah. So, and not signing the first employment contract you get on your desk.
No.
Yeah. So to really understand, how does my personal beliefs or my personal core values fit to the values of the company? Yeah. And this is, I do not mean having just a poster with 4 values or so. We have this as well in our TIS compass, but you can really understand this better if you are talking to the people moving this company forward.
Yeah, one thing that I always tell the candidates that I work with is don't forget to have fun during the conversation. If you're going
Oh
to
yeah,
work there
yeah,
day in, day out, make sure you have fun. If you have fun, then most likely you'll get along. And if you get along, then most likely you as well have some sort of a shared vision. And I think that's super critical. And with so many opportunities out there, having fun, making sure that you go to work with a smile on your face is so important. You spend
I agree.
way too long
I
each
agree.
day to have a position that isn't fun.
Um, couldn't more agree on this. You are totally right. And when we are talking about fun, it's not about staying at the kicker table with the founder and
No,
playing kicker. It's not about using the table tennis plate. So it's really about you. You are within this company for 8 or more hours a day, and you need to have the feeling that you can really move forward from a personal perspective, and you have to see that this company is growing due to your contribution. And this is at the end. And if this is fun, not on a daily basis, but you need to have more fun than bad days, so to speak. Yeah.
yeah,
So with a smile, you have to go with a smile to your face to work, to your team, and ideally at the end of the day as well. It's not always the case, to be realistic on this. However, if you have this most of the days, then it's the right path track for you. Yeah.
exactly. Indeed, I couldn't agree with more with you either. I think that brings a very nice circle as well. We've talked about keeping people, we've talked about growing people, we've talked about finding people, we've talked about having fun, and fun it has
Yeah.
been. Stefan, a massive thank you for being on this podcast.
Same here. Same here. Yeah.
And yeah, we look forward to working together in the future still. One last thing what we see is that growing companies are often indeed a lot of fun to work for. There's big parties, you name it. The likes of Booking.com has been one of the key examples used by many over the last years. However, the last, I think, 12 months have also shown a massive shift in the employee satisfaction in that company, for instance. But there are many examples that follow suit of companies that are on a hype that everybody wants to work for, and all of a sudden it becomes political. There are company politics that are getting in the way of really being innovative and being fun. Do you have any tips or tricks or thoughts on how, as a growing company and like TIS is, you can prevent the politics from intervening in the forward thinking, in the innovation part, in the fun part of such an organization?
So my first project at TIS was kind of refreshing our company values. And I was talking to our co-founders, to Errol and Jörg, about this. And then I was talking to the whole team and find not a compromise, but maybe some basic assumptions, some basic principles where we would like to work on. And I think you can't reshape this. And in a rapid growth company, you have always the case that you may hire some people due to pressure in the market that are not really who are not really driven by these core values as well. I do not mean by 100%. I do not mean by to have a perfect fit, but you need. So this is why we have kind of golden rule, so to speak. No hiring on compromise, and this includes as well our core values, which we present not only with a poster of our TIS compass, but also with the way we are interacting with these people and how do we treat them. And if we observe some negative examples, we do not hire this person, or on the other hand side, we try to challenge that. Yeah. So, and if you are a growing company and rapidly growing, you have the wrong people to make these decisions, then it could be the case that in general, the company culture is leading to a different one, and people, and this is really, I think, managers and leaders and founders as well underestimate that in general, people have a very good sense if culture is changing. Yeah. So if people are acting differently, and this could be maybe one topic at booking.com, having not so much touch points with them, but it highly depends on who are the people hiring, and what is the main intention to hire these people. And this is why, I mean, it's also a very famous claim to say, hire for attitude, train for skills. Yeah. So, you cannot really change the attitude of adult peoples. It's not really possible. On the other hand side, you can train them if they would like to grow in such a field. For example, in a technical position, you can learn coding languages much better than having a mindset working for a growing company with a lot of collaboration, with a lot of interaction between people, maybe not in your native language, for example. Yeah. So, and I think this leads to you need a core, and if you have that core and you do not change this core, I think this leads to success.
And I think that is a very comprehensive answer to a difficult question. And I really liked it. Perfect. Cool. Thanks a lot, Stefan. It's been a real pleasure having you on. The Voices in Payments podcast is an initiative launched by Payment Genes, aimed at positively impacting the payments community by educating and connecting the market with vertical-specific industry expertise. We as Payment Genes empower the industry by focusing on the fundamentals for business growth. We achieve this by providing industry-leading payments recruitment, business and data strategy consulting services. Check out paymentgenes.com for more info, and please follow us on social media for more jobs, company updates, industry insights, and more.